Cheryl, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Cindy Briggs, I can't see where you are out there, but if you ever had a doubt about whether you're a leader or not, that speech just proved there's absolutely zero doubt. That was terrific. Alan was here earlier as he started off the meeting. One of the joys of coming into this town has been the incredible, competent, and strong leaders that exist in the community and the way they work together. We're really blessed to have a mayor like Alan Joynes. I have met mayors throughout the world in many different countries and in many different cities, and I'll tell you, I think he is the best mayor I have ever met, and probably one of the best in the world. So we're Joellen, thank you for getting Mary and I acquainted with the community as we came in and had so much to learn. You've been a good friend and a good person to go to help me learn about the community, and it's been wonderful, and to see this room and to see what's happened and to also hear about this incredible 2013 class is really an exciting opportunity for me to come and speak. We're also blessed to have one of our team members in the 2013 class, Andrew Austin, is over there, our Assistant General Counsel, who, by the way, you can applaud, go ahead. That's his second career. Andrew is more fluent in Spanish than I am, and he doesn't have Spanish in his heritage, I do. And he's a PhD in Spanish, in addition to having a law degree. And we have several Inmar graduates in the audience as well. Let me start you off with telling you a little bit about myself, and no story should start without a picture of the family. This is our Christmas card picture. Some of you I know in the room got this picture, and the first comment you meant is, boy, your kids have grown a lot since you've been here. You can see Mary and I in there with our children, Connor, Lauren, and Nicholas. They did, and it's true, they were each born in a different country, but they're all ours. Mary and I, each one along the way. It's an interesting journey that brings us here to Winston-Salem. It began for me, as Cheryl said, in Las Vegas, where I grew up, one of the fastest growing cities on the planet for a long time until the recent recession. I left there when I got my first promotion and transfer with UPS to go to Phoenix, Arizona. It was also the first time I'd ever bought a suit. It was the first time that I'd ever flown on a plane. Later, they moved me to Frankfurt, Germany. And that was the first time I had to get a passport. That was the first international flight I'd ever been on. I put my hand up because I could see that globalization was coming, and I said, I'm willing to go wherever you need. I know that you're going to need people that are willing to explore these markets as we globalize. My Spanish is okay. Where can you send me? Thinking that I would totally end up in a Spanish-speaking country, and they put me in Germany with an entire German team that did not speak any English. I had to learn quickly how to adjust. I was there for a while. It was a great team. It was a great experience. Later, I moved to London. I came back after some time in London to New York, and then to Los Angeles. Mary and I got married shortly afterwards. Then we went to Hong Kong. Our son was made in Hong Kong, but born in Singapore. Mary got pregnant again in Singapore, and of course when she got pregnant it seemed like that was the time that UPS wanted to move me in those days. And our daughter Lauren was born in the Philippines. Later we came back to Atlanta, where we lived for 8 years in the corporate offices and working in the company that I worked for almost 23 years, and worked with a tremendous number of great leaders, and was able to pull a lot of lessons in leadership from them. But it was time for me to have a change, and I went to Ann Arbor, Michigan to work for Domino's Pizza. I was still delivering cardboard boxes, they just had pizzas in them. That was the key thing. You'd be surprised how much of the experience ported over, way more than you would ordinarily expect. Not just the business fundamentals, but especially the leadership fundamentals. And I was there for 5 years until I was recruited to come and be an Inmar and to lead one of the finest teams I've ever worked with in my life, and to also discover a community that is filled with wonderful professionals, incredibly competent and capable people. And in this room is the cream of that crop. And so when Joellen said, will you come and speak to this group, there was no way to say anything other than yes, because it's really an honor to be here with all of you, and I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm also grateful for the fact that I work at a company that was started by a great leader. John Whitaker, who's here tonight. John, thanks, because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have a job tonight. Started Inmar almost 33 years and led the company for 27 years. Helped innovate it. And if it weren't for John's leadership, we wouldn't have almost 900 people in Winston-Salem working for Inmar today. And that's been an honor to take the reins and try to take it to the next level and prepare it for the next 30 years, John, and that's what we're trying to do. It's also been an honor to follow in a community with so many other great leaders. You learn a lot about leadership in this community, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Inmar, because I bet if I ask you whether you have had someone tell you about Inmar that works there, and then after the conversation you went away saying, I still don't know what they do. If I asked you to raise your hand, many of you would raise your hand, right? So let me give you the short and sweet, memorable view of Inmar. We are domain experts in the CPG, pharmacy, and retail space. We move $38 billion in transactions, much data and information between lots of clients. We bring technology and analysis and expertise to help our customers run their businesses better. And we do that pretty much every time you walk into a store and use a coupon or a rebate or get a prescription filled or return a product. The chances are in 80% of the big box retail stores you go in, Inmar is behind the scenes making that happen. So once and for all, you can actually say, you know now what Inmar does. I'm going to sprinkle my views on leadership throughout this presentation tonight, and at the same time, I'm going to give you a situational assessment, and I'm going to ask you to join me in a call to action, because I think that there's a moment in time and an opportunity for all of us, and it's really out there for the taking if we're willing to go get it. So first, my view on leadership, and probably the most important one. I believe personally that God does good works through leaders. There's one caveat to that, and that is that the leader has to be careful not to get in the way of those good works with their own weaknesses. That can happen from time to time. We've had some great leaders in this community. Tom Davis, who founded, I read his book over the Christmas holiday, who founded Piedmont Airlines. At a time where there was a huge opportunity, where air travel was going to be the future, he could see that. But did you know that he started his airline without even having the right authority for the flights and routes that he wanted to fly? That he went out and made commitments to buy airplanes, knowing that he might not get the routes he wanted, he could end up with something completely different, and he actually did, and he found a way through that. Great leaders see when change is coming, and one of the most important things that they can do, above all the things they do, is position their team to be in the opportunity to win. Seeing that change. Seeing that change is probably the most important attribute of leadership. And it takes effort to do that. I also believe that you have to be driven as a leader and fully committed. The worst thing a leader can do to their team is to demand or to ask too little of them. if you do that, you actually cheat the team of finding their true potential, their true capability. It's a delicate balance because you don't want to overdrive, because we all know that life is bigger than work, but at the same time, you want to give your team that chance to find their true potential. Mary and I are proud graduates of the Winston-Salem Insight program, and I want to keep in tradition with the mission of the Leadership Winston-Salem organization, and that means it's about educating, connecting, and energizing leaders to serve and improve the community. And I hope that you will leave today not just feeling inspired to make a difference, but inspired to take action that will make a difference by moving Winston-Salem towards its transformative future, away from the tobacco and manufacturing past that it's had, and into this future of a knowledge-based economy where research and ideas and art and innovation come together to do things that no one's thought of before. A new type of Silicon Valley. A new opportunity to seize the potential of biologists and nanotechnologists and information systems and development operations experts, behavioral analysts, shopper scientists, and retail luminaries. This is the collage that we can bring together right here within a few square miles together. In every sense, this is a remarkable community. And I've seen a few communities. And it has the most amazing citizens in many ways. And so I want you to ponder the question, if we have all this, why not Winston-Salem? Let me introduce a little bit of education into this process. As part of leadership, you've got to make a case. You've got to make a case for change, and you've got to get people to buy into that case for change. Well, whether you believe my case or not, change is coming, and it's coming at a pace faster than we've ever seen before. This is the mixture of resources that are now available to Winston-Salem. Think about the collective knowledge that can be cross-pollinated and shared, and the ideas that can come out of that. This is something that is unique in Winston-Salem. There is no place like the Innovation Quarter where this amount of talent in so many diverse areas of science and business are coming together in just a few square miles. It is the opportunity that we need to seize, and it will affect the downtown area and the greater business community, and everyone can participate in this opportunity. Ray Kurzweil is one of my favorite future forecasters. Has anybody read Ray's book, The Singularity is Near? Raise your hand if you've read it. All right, so to those of you that have read it, this will be familiar, but Ray talks about a singularity, and the singularity is a point in time in the future where the pace of change will be so rapid, its impact so deep, that it will be absolutely irreversible. And in that time, things will happen. And first of all, this is not 100 years from now. This is decades from now. What Ray talks about in here is that this pace of change forever has been accelerating, but we tend to think about it as linear. It's really happening at an accelerated exponential rate, and it's hard for us in the normal human concept to grasp that change. Information-based technologies will let humanity transcend its previous limits. There'll be convergence of biology and technology, and we will see them come together as one. I'm going to let you read some of these, and I'm just going to pause and be quiet for a minute and let you digest them. And then you can think for yourself whether you think these future predictions will really happen. Now I put this picture up after those predictions because the tendency when you see some of them is to go, really? I don't know if I believe that or not. And I've shared this picture once before in a presentation. This is Winston-Salem in 1900. This is the band for Winston-Salem. You find this in the archive pictures of the city. Just imagine now that it's 2000 and you all know what's happened over the last century. And you're in front of this group and you're telling them all the things that are going to happen in the 1900s. And what would they say to you? That you can travel anywhere on the planet in a winged aircraft in less than a day? That you can talk and see anyone on the planet from a device in your pocket? Would they believe you? Would they laugh at you? They might. So when you think about those predictions, have that perspective in mind, and as a leader, recognize that the role of the leader is to see the change coming and to prepare their team to have the opportunity to win. This is why we moved and made the decision to move into the innovation quarter. You can see here 37 companies, 11 different departments from the university, 904 incredible minds. When we move in the first quarter, we're going to virtually double the size of the quarter. And it's going to be a ruckus. Our team is high energy. They skip to work. They want to win. We have a rock band. We have our own rock band. We'll be disturbing lots of things. But I can tell you, we're coming in to share. We're coming in to learn. We're coming in to share ideas. And that's the opportunity that will then come out in concentric circles, I believe, through the downtown efforts, which are really amazing, and what's been happening in the arts community and the renaissance of the city, and of course in the broader community, because the truth is that innovation is happening everywhere around us. And the more that we talk to each other and the more that we collaborate and connect, the more we can do. So I ask you again, why not Winston-Salem? Why can't we do some of these things in a way that's collaborative? Let's talk about that more. This is the famous Domino's pizza tracker. Has anybody ever ordered a Domino's pizza online? If so, raise your hand. Is this the coolest invention ever? Yeah. It's a UPS idea. There wasn't a lot new about it. We took an existing technology that was being used to track packages all over the planet, an idea, really, and said, do you think people would want to track their pizzas even though it only takes 30 minutes? And some people said, nobody would ever want to track something only 30 minutes. It's going to be right there. That's actually what people said about tracking packages when we told them in the days that 99.9% of everything got delivered on time. Why would you ever need to track it? But people wanted to know where their stuff was. It turns out that there's a psychological roller coaster that is very, very real, tied to hunger, online ordering, and the uncertainty of whether your order's been received. And by putting this pizza tracker up, we filled the void, because at about 15 minutes, what happens is you start to wonder, did my order get in? At about 20 minutes, you start to think, should I call? At 25 minutes, you begin to start doubting whether that pizza's coming. And by 31 minutes, you are mad and hungry. So by connecting the customer to information we already had in the system and making it available to them, we were able to have 30 minutes of free customer dialogue. And do you know what we learned about our customers and how much better that made our business? We filled a need. We innovated. We took ideas. And this idea came over a good glass of wine and a conversation. It wasn't nobody got assigned to do it. It wasn't a big strategy meeting. It happened because we were cross-pollinating. So this is one of the things that I want to encourage you to do. Get together and start eating like Singaporeans and less like Europeans. You're at round tables today. If you go into Singapore and eat in almost every restaurant, you will have a hard time finding a square table or a rectangular table. Almost all the tables are round. And by the way, you don't order your own dish. You collaborate together, you order several dishes, and everybody tries some of each dish. guess what happens? You find out dishes that you like that you didn't know you would like. You begin to learn about different things to eat, and a collaboration occurs. We need to start doing that more in the community and sharing our knowledge across these disciplines. When we do that, we're going to come up with new ideas. This is a city in India called Pondicherry. I'd ask if anybody's been there, but I know at least one person in the room has been there, and that's John Witter, because John's been everywhere. All right? You haven't been there? All right, we'll go to this one together. This is an amazing city in India, colonized by the French in the late 1600s, early 1700s, all the way a French colony till 1960s. All right? What's amazing about this city is that it is a combination, from an epicureal standpoint, of the Escoffier Guide to Cooking and an Indian cooking class. And there are dishes that have been fused and refined over 200 years that have come about as close to culinary perfection as you can imagine. It is some of the most amazing food you'll ever eat. You will never forget it, and you will be craving, how do I get back there to go eat it? When you fuse certain things together, new creations come, and that's one of the things that I want to encourage us to go do. And if somebody in the restaurant area is interested in opening a Pondicherry restaurant, I will be your first customer, and I'll even come in and help you cook. The next thing I want to do is talk about energizing with innovation. Innovation is not a task that you can assign as a leader. It's not something that you can put on somebody's checklist. It's something that comes from within. It's a drive that comes from within. You want to find a way to do things better. You want to find a way to do things smarter. You never are satisfied with the status quo. Innovation begins and ends with this relentless curiosity. This desire to find a better way. How can I do this faster? How do I do it with less effort? How do I get better results? From the smallest task to the biggest project, innovative leaders begin and they end with a relentless self-confidence that we are going to figure out a better way to do this. And if you fail, you just check one of the ideas off and go to the next one. Innovation isn't unbounded, though, and it isn't theoretical. It comes from what we can do better with the resources we have, how we can do and improve things without increasing costs. It's driven by necessity. If we would all ask these questions in our roles every day, we're bound to create a culture of innovation, not just within our own organizations, but community-wide. And that's what has begun to, that's what Leadership Winston-Salem is all about. And we've done that, but how do we bring that innovative spark to another level is one of the things that I think is an opportunity that is there for us. And it comes from us not just looking for the incremental. We have to be bold. We have to think about disruptive ways of making things better. It doesn't necessarily have to be novel, and it doesn't have to be super different. In fact, the speed can come from technology that already exists in ways that we discover by coming together and bringing those together. The iPhone used technology in different ways that pretty much completely existed to trigger an entire mobile era. Let's take a pressing problem for our local communities and our national community today. Healthcare cost. Healthcare cost and availability. As a leader, this is not about whether you are for or against Obamacare. Frankly, I don't know anyone that has confidence in the before plan, the current plan, or the future plan making it for the long run. So let's just table that. I frankly think we're all better to pursue disruptive innovation to drive the cost and value rather than to rely on political or government solutions. And I think Winston-Salem can do that. Healthcare can take on the same attributes as the exponential improvement, just like computing power did. The Apollo 11 guidance system was a computer that had 2K of memory and 32K of storage. A little over a decade later, the IBM PCXT was 8 times that. And today, if you think about the elements of memory that exist today, my iPhone has 1 million times the memory capacity of the computer that guided people to the moon. One of the expensive areas of healthcare in America is advanced testing, like MRI and CT imaging. Is there already a set of technologies residing in Winston-Salem that, when combined, would drastically reduce the cost to provide similar test results, making it available more broadly? Could the nanotech, biotech, and Inmar's 24,000 real-time connected pharmacies deliver and distribute a new technology that provides the same information and results, or close to it, for 1/100th of the cost in a single hour? I don't know, but I'd love to sit down with Dave and others in the Nanotech Center and start asking those kinds of questions. Those are the questions that will make a huge difference in what happens. And don't forget about the art. This is a picture of Ann Arbor's art fair. Ann Arbor went through a very similar renaissance to what Winston-Salem is going through. Precedes us by about 10 years. Art is what makes our innovation humane. Art speaks to us in a deeper sense than our technology or our studies. It speaks to our soul. It's the reason that you cry when you hear a particular song, or why you can stand for 30 minutes captivated by a painting or a sculpture. And art will truly allow us to reach the full potential of our innovation. Art and design are key to that and important for it. This is what the exponential curve looks like. I am seeing this now in almost every aspect of my business, in one area or another. I know others in the community that are seeing it. That curve is what's driving change. And what leaders do is prepare for coming changes. No matter how much time you think you have to prepare, there's not a moment to waste. This is the picture of the computer I mentioned. The one on the left is the disk key user interface. It's not even the whole computer of what was on the Apollo 11. You can see not a lot of sophistication, but in a short time compared to the iPhone. Let's talk lastly about action. One of the things we have to do a better job of, and we have more tools and opportunity as leaders than ever before, is to go beyond our intuition and our experience, and to use data in ways to make decisions. There's a terrific book out called Moneyball. And Moneyball is far, far more than a sports book, far, far more than a business book. In Moneyball, Billy Beane figures out that the statistics that they've been using to measure baseball for years are all the wrong statistics and not the ones that matter the most. They've been counting things like RBIs and batting averages, and what really matters is how often does a batter get on base. They've been counting things like the speed of a pitch, whether they threw curveballs, whether they threw fastballs, and what really matters is, did they get the runner out? Sometimes we look at the information that's available because it's easy to look at. It may not be the right information. Right, Doris? Foresight Futures is a gift of our community. You know, it's an innovative move to start looking at the data that matters most. We need to ask those questions, and I will tell you that those questions will generate interesting conversations, and some of them will be uncomfortable. Leaders are not afraid of the uncomfortable. They're not afraid of change. They're not afraid to manage change. For example, high school graduation, huge focus of this community. English as a second language is one of the contributing attributes to why we don't have graduation rate we aspire to have. It is affecting our graduation and our education, and there is a downstream effect to our community that is felt, it's expensive, and we all bear the cost of that. We should understand that problem better. And as we understand it better, if we realize that that is the root cause of the problem, if that is getting the batter on base, if that is getting the batter out as a pitcher, we ought to go and put everything we've got at changing that root cause. Because everything downstream, as leaders we know, will be better. If that's the case, maybe we ought to have the most fantastic immersion language program ever created in any community in this country, where anyone comes in, doesn't speak English, can diagram the Declaration of Independence in 6 months. All right, now that may be reaching hard, but fluency and reading and writing and the ability to understand all the other things being taught, really pushing hard to integrate and to achieve a proficiency in language, if it has those downstream benefits, we should focus on those root causes. That's what leaders do. They figure out what matters most, and they spend the time there. Moneyball, if you haven't read the book, I highly encourage that you read it. We've got to align as leaders in this community, as you've done in your projects, as you've done in your programs, as you've gotten to know each other. We've got to align on common visions of what to do. We have limited resources. We can't do everything. But I can tell you this: poverty, slow growth, low academic performance, low self-esteem in young girls, homelessness, they do not have to persist in our community. We have the most amazing leaders. We have the most amazing opportunity to address these problems, and they can be eradicated just like polio. We need to understand where the root causes are. Leaders will help find that. And what I challenge you to do, I challenge you to think about, why not Winston-Salem? Why not Winston-Salem? Why not meaningful world change right here in Winston-Salem? We're capable of it. We have a unique opportunity. We have what it takes, and I thank you for your time.